Today we're having a look at this 2022 Nissan Frontier in this gorgeous tactical green color. This is actually the extended cab, so you have a 6-foot bed. And as you know, the Frontier finally got a full redesign for the 2022 model year. The previous generation was a reliable dinosaur that was in production for 17 years, starting in 2005. So by 2021, the Frontier was basically a generation behind the competition when it comes to mid-size trucks in pretty much every aspect. And this much improved 2022 redesign was long overdue. So all we're going to be doing in this video is talk about the front end styling, the side view, and the rear. This, as you can see, does not have the full LED lights in the front, which I think is a must if you want to, if you're getting the Frontier, because it is pretty much a very old school underneath the new body shell. It still feels like an old truck. We still have the same 3.8 liter V6 under the hood, putting out 310 horsepower, which is not bad, but it doesn't really feel that fast when we're driving it, which I'm gonna do in just a minute. Before we go into the design, let's talk a little bit more about the spec and tech. The new Frontier's maximum payload is 1,610 pounds, and max towing comes in at 6,720 pounds. Not class leading, but it will still get most jobs done in everyday use. Some of the rivals are Ford Ranger, Chevy Colorado, the GMC Canyon, Honda Ridgeline, the Jeep Gladiator, and of course the main rival being the Toyota Tacoma. And even though the new Frontier might feel a little old in a lot of aspects, it's not all that bad. It's not all bad news being old, especially when you look at the interior design, which we're gonna do in just a minute. And another benefit of sharing parts with the outgoing model is that the price is very competitive. This starts at just $28,000, which I think is a fantastic deal for what you get, because the 3.8 liter V6 with 310 horsepower is standard across the entire lineup. So even if you get the base model, you're still gonna get the same engine. So it comes in two body styles. You have the extended cab and a 4-door crew cab. The extended cab comes with a 6-foot cargo bed. That's the one we have right here, while the crew cab has either a 5-foot bed or a 6-foot bed. You also have 3 trim levels to choose from: S, SV, and the more off-road oriented Pro 4X. And as you can see, this is the mid trim level, so this is the SV 4x4. Let's talk about this design. I really like what Nissan did with the refreshed Frontier. I think it looks so much more modern than the previous generation, obviously, since that came out in 2005. The only thing, as I said, that I don't really understand is that we have an option to add the LEDs in the front, which I think helps the design being more modernized. And also, not just that, it also is a overall better headlight and more functional having the modern LEDs instead of these light bulb headlights that we have right here. But it still looks very good, very chiseled in its design and sharp. And looking at the side view with the 6-foot bed, same thing here. I think it looks decent. It looks almost like a Tacoma in the rear end, very much inspired by the Tacoma. And they said they raised the height of the bed by 2 inches or so compared to the previous generation to be able to, of course, add more stuff in the back and not have it fly out. One thing I'm a little confused about, as I said, we don't have the LEDs in the front, but in the rear they are standard. So it would make sense to me to just have it be standard both in the front and in the rear, since they come, every single Nissan Frontier will have these LEDs in the rear end, but it's an option in the front. That kind of doesn't really make sense to me. And then you also have the new Nissan logo here, which I think looks a lot better than the old one with the chrome around it. This looks a lot more modernized and suitable for a 2022 model. So looking at the bed real quick, we have the 6-foot bed. You have some lights right here, as you can see, which is, I think, is standard. And you also have this standard outlet here. Not really a lot to talk about by looking at the bed here. Functional, and it feels pretty high up, so you have a nice solid border for whatever you want to load in here. Looking at the rear seat, so this is the extended crew cab, which means this is what you get in the Frontier. Not much space. If you look at where my knees are, it's pretty tight back here. However, you do have a lot of connectivity here, so you have a 12-volt outlet right here, which is pretty convenient, and you also have 2 USB ports here, as you can see. Now, sitting inside the new Nissan Frontier, it definitely feels pretty old school in here. And the thing is, Ford and Chevy and GMC, they've all come out with their brand new mid-size trucks right now. So this is still gonna be the old one in the company with the competitors. But I don't really mind the old school feel in this truck. It feels solid. We have a nice touchscreen right here, which the interface doesn't really look that modern, but still it's there. And then we have some tactile buttons, which I really love, and also the proper dials and controls for the climate control right here, dual climate zone, and pretty basic functionality when it comes to the interior of this truck. Solid design, geometrical lines, horizontal lines going across this dashboard. What I like about this, some people may complain about this setup for the gauge cluster, that we have 2 analog dials for the tachometer and the speedometer. But this is, honestly, as I'm sure a lot of you know when I talk about the interior design in my videos, I actually like this because we still have a center display with all these different data points that you can scroll through like this. And I don't mind having the tachometer and the speedometer being completely analog. This steering wheel though, this is, I believe this is from a 2013 Pathfinder or something like that. It's the exact same wheel. All they did was just update this logo into a modern logo and take this from a 2013 model. So it goes for these indicator stocks right here. They feel a little old school, but it's all good. You know, I don't think people buying this truck are actually going to care about stuff like that. They want a reliable truck for a good price, and I think there should be more trucks like this that maybe have some old technology inside, but they still get the job done. In the door, as you can see, we have some storage compartments down here and a cup holder right there. We have 2 cup holders right here. This, you could option this to be a wireless charging. We don't have that in this truck. And you have some storage more compartments right in the center underneath the armrest. All right guys, so driving the 2022 Nissan Frontier SV 4x4. So the first thing I noticed when I jumped in this truck driving it is just how heavy this steering wheel feels. It's a lot heavier than a lot of cars I've driven before, and it gives it a nice solid feel to it. But if you're gonna do a, you know, parallel parking, you gotta get yourself a bit of an arm workout doing that. It's not too bad. It just feels, same thing here, it just feels old school truck, everything about this Frontier. Which, as I said, I kinda like, because I think we need more cars like this, or trucks like this. Trucks these days, you know, I don't know what the average price for a brand new truck is, but it's definitely not what it used to be. Now they're more of a luxury vehicle. Having it in this price range, I know it's a mid-size truck, it's not a full-size, but still, it feels solid, it feels reliable, it feels like the old one pretty much, which was a great truck. It just has a new shell. It's all good. $28,000 if you want the base, and then up to $44,000 for a fully loaded Pro 4X. Not a bad deal. I don't think the buyers of this truck are going to be you know, bothered by, for example, like, they're not gonna argue that it's not a fully digital display. I don't think they care about that. I don't care about that. Oh, look at that. Look at this. You gotta be careful here. We have a whole family out this morning. I saw a bunch of other deer or elk, or I'm not sure what this is. Some of you are gonna correct me. But they are everywhere this morning. It's so cool to see. You gotta move out the way, little friend. Hi. How's it going? They're just all over the road. This is crazy. Oh, it feels good to be in Colorado, man. It really does. There we go. Let's take it nice and easy around them. Not scare them away. Thing is, they don't seem to be afraid of cars because there are so many cars out here on a daily basis. So they kind of used to it, and that's both a good and a bad thing, because they walk all over the streets
but just you get to see them up close. So back to the truck. It's I feel it feels quality. It feels like this is one of these trucks that's gonna last a very, very long time as long as you take care of it. It's solid and it feels quiet in here. You have the V6, which has a nice pull to it. Doesn't really feel like 310 horsepower maybe, but same thing there. It's one of these engines that's been proven to be pretty reliable, and they just put it in here. You also get it in the base model for $28,000, which I think is a great deal. Talking about the handling of the Frontier, it handles nicely for a mid-size truck. I don't feel like it does a lot of body roll at all. I mean, it's not a Mazda Miata or a Nissan Z, but for what it is, I think it handles pretty well. This is one of these trucks, you know, it's an average truck. It's just a truck. That's what it is. It doesn't try to be anything else. And it doesn't try to be a luxury car or a sports car. It's just a truck. And that's what I love about the Frontier, specifically when you get it in the lower trim models. But as long as you get it with the LED headlights, you're all good to go. Let's do a quick pull here and see what's what with this 3.8 liter V6. Here we go. Yeah, I mean, it goes. Not bad at all. Still doesn't really feel like 310 horsepower. You have the new GMC Canyons, the Chevy Colorados, brand new for 2023, which is gonna set this even further back because they just released the Frontier. Super happy after 17 years. Okay, we did a new Frontier, and all of a sudden the rest of the competition is another generation ahead of Nissan again. But it's fine. The Toyota is about to come out with a new Tacoma any day now, it feels like. But I think still there is a market for a solid, reliable truck like this that just is what it is, a simple truck.
So what are my final thoughts on the new, it's hard to believe, but it is actually a new Nissan Frontier. As I said, I think there is a market for this type of truck that starts at $28,000, and you still get the 3.8 liter V6 with 310 horsepower. And you can also get it as a two-wheel drive model. So it's a Pro 4X. You can get that with all the other features that you get in the Pro 4X, but you can have it as a Pro X, only two-wheel drive, which doesn't really make sense to me. I would probably pick the Pro 4X, which fully loaded comes in at about $44,000. But I think it's a cool-looking design. And if you put some wheels and tires on this, maybe a leveling kit or a small lift kit on this, it looks like a really cool car and truck. The only thing I would definitely change on this specific truck is the front headlights. These just look outdated, and it doesn't help that the rest of the truck also feels a little outdated when it comes to driving and so on. So definitely get the LED headlights if you want to have a more modern look of this truck. That's it for my review of the 2022 SV Frontier. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.